Yeehaw! Howdy, partners. It's me. I'm back, and welcome to Unpopular Opinion Ranch. Over yonder, y'all see I haven't posted a video in a while, and seeing how I love me the Wild West, it's time to saddle up, grab your six-shooters, and ride out into the sunset, 'cause these are the top 5 greatest westerns. Yeehaw! Okay, first things first, I want to apologize for that bad attempt at the western accent. But for really though, now that we've got that out of the way, it's time to count down the top 5 greatest westerns of all time. Number 5, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Butch and Sundance are the western heroes who took the old cliché genre and dropped it on its head. This movie is brilliant for its incredible dialogue, awesome landscapes, and nature shots. And not to mention its amazing stunt work. The story revolves around two notorious outlaws trying to get ahead in a time where the Old West is becoming more modern and civilized. In order to escape justice and continue their crime spree, they flee the states to the South American country Bolivia, where they bring the spirit of the West with them and gamble it all for one last triumph. I love the action, the suspense, the directing. It's amazing and never fails to excite. The performances are genius and the mood is as American as they come. This is a true adventure classic. Number 4, The Outlaw Josie Wales.
Josie Wales. What's that? Josie Wales. They say he's coming into Texas. Won't come through here, though. Killed 50, 60 men. Regulators are all over the place looking for him.
Now let me tell you something about Josie Wales. He narrowly missed being on my top 10 favorite movie characters list. He's definitely an honorable mention of greatest character of all time. This western is a very unique but appropriate look at the Civil War era West. Josie Wales is a simple farmer during the American Civil War. His family is murdered and his house is burnt to the ground by American Red Leg guerrilla soldiers. Josie Wales goes through a very dramatic transformation from peaceful, loving family man to a heartless, ruthless killer. He joins up with the Confederate guerrillas and fights in the war. After it's over and his posse goes to surrender to the American government, he refuses to go with them and surrender to the people who killed his family. Unfortunately for Josie's friends, it's a trap, and the American soldiers kill them all. In vain, he tries to save them and ends up killing 60 soldiers, making him the most wanted man in the West. Basically what follows is his journey from Missouri to Texas as he makes new friends and gathers a new family in search for peace and with the goal of just to be left alone. Why do I love this movie? Well, first, Josie Wales is so cool and badass as ever. The action sequences are heart-pounding, the sound quality is spot on, and the plot is pretty unique. For once, a movie doesn't paint Southerners as the villains in the Civil War. It doesn't portray Western cliches or stereotypes. Wales is the kind of hero who's the hero for the wrong reasons. He's far from being an anti-hero, even though his kill count is arguably highest out of any Clint Eastwood characters. He's a man who needs to adapt to his hostile environment or else suffer the consequences. And I think it's interesting to note that Wales isn't a cowboy. He's a soldier who escapes to the West. And it isn't common for non-cowboys to be the protagonist in Westerns. I know I've spent a lot of time talking about this, but I want to end with saying another interesting note, that Josie Wales' outlaw status is different from many Western characters. He's not wanted for being a thief or a cattle rustler. He's wanted for not surrendering after the war and killing dozens of men.
Diane ain't much of a living boy.
Number 3, For a Few Dollars More. I love the man with no name. He is by far my favorite movie character. He's been featured in many of my videos. Now, For a Few Dollars More is a spaghetti western and the second movie of the Dollars trilogy. In this film, he's a bounty hunter who reluctantly teams up with the Man in Black, Colonel Douglas Mortimer, to take on vicious psychopath outlaw El Indio. This is a pretty dark and twisted western. The villain is a maniac and a narcotic addict. Worst yet, he's definitely the most evil villain of the franchise. He murders children, rapes innocent women just because he can. Not just that, but his manic laugh and total insaneness is unsettling. Indio and his gang of killers are the most dangerous in the territory, and the two bounty hunters may have met their match against the bandits. What I love about this movie is, for one, it's a spaghetti western, and those are my favorite westerns. It's rough, tough, and full of gritty action. And this has to be the most hearted and most emotional of the Dollars trilogy. The Man with No Name's motivations are straightforward. He doesn't care to stop Indio or to save the day like the typical Western hero. He just wants the reward money, but his partner Mortimer, he wants pure revenge. Indio raped his sister, killed his brother-in-law, which led to his sister's suicide, and that makes the stakes and tension higher. The Man with No Name was so badass in this movie. He kicked ass and was so cool. The music was incredible, and the plot, the action, the cinematography, the editing, the sound effects. This is the West. This is just the pinnacle of Westerns. Number 2, Fistful of Dollars. Fistful of Dollars is the first of the Dollars trilogy. and The Man with No Name's first ride. This barely, and by the smallest of margins, beat for a few dollars more. This features the nameless gunslinger in all his monotone glory. The movie begins with him riding into a desolate town, dominated by two rival families whose criminal war have turned the area into a ghost town. In an attempt to make money, he tricks the two criminal empires into fighting each other as a distraction for him to scam them in order to make money. What ensues is cinema gold. Why do I love spaghetti westerns so much? Well, the way they're made, it just makes them perfect. Spaghetti westerns are Italian and European films filmed in Spain. The production of the films are typically cheap and of low quality, but that's used to their advantage to make them awesome. Their lower quality makes them more grim, gritty, and that's exactly what the West is. Grim, gritty, and dirty. It's more awesome and incredible. The sound effects take you some time to get used to. I mean, they're kind of bad, but once you get past that, you can actually come to love and appreciate them. And that's what the Wild West is all about. The soundtrack by Ennio Morricone is beautiful. And why do I love The Man with No Name? Well, that's easy. He's the ultimate movie character. He's a complete mystery for all three movies. The most we get from his background is that he's from Illinois, and his skills are that of a superhuman. He's fast with his gun and can outdraw anybody and outshoot anybody. He's tough as nails and can withstand great torture without giving in. And he's known for his awesome look. He completely changed the game when it came to cinematic cowboys. He blurs the line between villain and hero. In an era where cowboy heroes always wore a white hat and the villain always wore a black one, he wears a brown one, which is right smack in the middle, his iconic poncho that makes him more awesome. That's a badass look. No American cowboy would dare pull it off. The Man with No Name is a complete mystery, both past and morality. He's selfish and money driven, but at the end of the day, he finds it in his heart to do the right thing and help those in need, which is totally cool. He doesn't speak much, but when he does, he gets his message across perfectly and is a force to be reckoned with. He's all about power and control, and in the end, he'll come out on top. Fistful of Dollars features incredible gunfights, unpredictable characters, genius filming techniques, and the ability to build suspense out of basically nothing, only using music, extreme close-ups, and wide shots. This western totally changed the game when it came to reversing the genre. It's violent, gritty, and cynical, but that's why we love it. It's one of the perfect movies to watch on the big screen in the dark while eating a bunch of Chinese food on a Friday night. Yeah, I know that sounds weird. I'm sorry. That's just one of my ways of appreciating movies. Number 1, Unforgiven. Unforgiven is a genius take on the American Old West. It takes everything you thought you knew about the Wild West and flips it on its head. It's not all that what you think it is. In fact, the only reason it's my favorite Western is because I watched it at an appropriate time. If I saw this movie before any other Western, I'd probably not like it as much, and it wouldn't pack the same punch. This movie stars an aged Clint Eastwood as a retired William Money, who puts on his hat for one last ride. Two young cowboys severely disfigure a prostitute. Enraged by the sheriff's lack of justice, the other whores offer a $1,000 reward to anyone who kills those two cowboys. A boastful young brat who calls himself the Schofield Kid teams up with the aged Hellraiser William Money, who, in his youth, was as evil as they come and as dangerous and wicked as the devil himself. They and Ned Logan go after the cowboys as the town sheriff tries to stop them in the most ruthless and savage way possible. This is a more sober and realistic look at life on the American frontier. It completely dispels the myth and legends of the Western heroes and honorable cowboys who save the day. It blurs the line between good and bad. In fact, this movie has no hero or villain, only men with disagreements. The Sheriff Little Bill, played expertly by Gene Hackman, is supposed to be the symbol of nobility and heroism of the town. As lawman and peacekeeper, yet he's an ex-gunfighter himself, who abuses his power and is bloodthirsty. His methods of deterring assassins and scaring away people who want to kill the two cowboys are straight up evil. He tortures and murders his opposition. And William Money, supposed to be the good guy, is an elderly reformed criminal who repents his heinous misdeeds as a youthful outlaw after marrying and having children. Yet he's responsible for the deaths of huge untold amounts. The only reason he's considered a hero is because he's supposed to kill the two young cowboys who made a stupid drunk mistake, all while eluding the sadistic sheriff. But, to swing back to the sheriff, he's only seen as the villain because he crosses Will Money, and even though his methods are cruel, he does keep security in the town and keep the bad people out. It's life in the gray area, not so black and white as westerns in the 50s made it seem. This is one of those movies that takes a realistic approach to violence by showing the cause and effect and the consequences of killing, not just through legal repercussions, but through guilt and remorse, sorrow and regret. It's not so easy to take a human life. even when it seems like they deserve to die. And I love how the Schofield kid, a wannabe gunslinger who all throughout the movie talks a big game and brags how he's the baddest man around, finally gets a taste for killing, and he's heartbroken and distraught. He renounces killing and violence and is sadly full of remorse. That shows you only bad men are capable of killing, and that there are no Western heroes. And the myths and the legends of the West are devices created by ambitious writers who want to sell their stories. Will Money, all throughout the movie, whenever reminded of his wrongdoings of the past, says,
You don't realize I ain't like that no more.
and when you see him in action, he's slow, weak, vulnerable, and even cries in one scene when faced with death. And you as the audience member really think, maybe Will isn't so bad after all. Until the end. The sheriff kills his best friend Ned, he gets boozed up and goes out for revenge. That ending scene completely undoes everything that convinced you William Money is a hero. He shows you who he truly is and was, and for the first time he owns up to his past and embraces his horrible self.
That's right. I've killed women and children. Killed just about everything that walks or crawled at one time or another. And I'm here to kill you, little Bill. For what you did to Ned.
His evil and wickedness comes out, as he totally has a malicious relapse and brutally slaughters the town police force. Then, he threatens to kill the family of anyone who tries to stop him, and the film ends with the townspeople gathering in horror, witnessing who we were tricked into thinking our hero was, how he rides off into the rainy darkness, which is the ultimate juxtaposition to having the goody two-shoes hero ride off into the sunset. Okay, so, I'm really sorry for getting carried away with the over-explanation, but the plot was amazing, the acting was top-notch, the editing, oh my god, the sound effects, it was impeccable, the dialogue. It's one of the best written movies ever. And not to mention, it has 3 of my top 5 favorite actors, Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, and Gene Hackman. The ending bar fight was one of the greatest movie scenes of all time. And Unforgiven is truly a masterpiece among masterpieces, and truly among some of the best films, and was rewarded with the honor of Best Picture at the Oscars. Well, my friends, that's all I have for you. Now, you know, just a sample of my favorite movies and one of my favorite genres. And for those of you out there who are basically screaming, those are all Clint Eastwood westerns. You basically made a top 5 Clint Eastwood movies. Well,
Pretty much.
guys, I hope you really like this list, and I hope you can forgive me for that really cringy intro. If you like what you see, let me know, comment below. If you disagree, share it with me. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the next Unpopular Opinion.